Hey guys, so many of you submitted questions for a recent procedure that I had done. Boy, boss is here. Let's try that again. As I was saying, I made the decision to freeze my eggs. This was an elective procedure and I'm going to tell you all about it and how I came to this decision once I get him out of here. So first I'm going to talk a little bit about that and then we'll hop into the Q&A. So last year I went through a period where I did not get my period for 4 months. After countless blood tests and meeting with my doctor said to me, I am concerned that you are going into early menopause. You're stuck in this phase and you have not ovulated or released any eggs in 4 months. Now, I'm still in my 20s, so to hear that was very, very alarming to me. I remember sitting back and thinking to myself, what are you talking about? Now, there's reasons why people wouldn't ovulate for a month or two, possibly like if you're stressed at work, even changes in your diet. There's so many things that can cause a woman to miss a period. But 4 months I knew was something to be concerned about, and my doctor wanted to start me on a medication. Now, I didn't want to do anything just yet. I said, let's give it some time and let's see, maybe my period will come back and we'll go from there. So about a month later, I did end up getting my period. Thank God. My doctor sat me down and he said to me, I'm not really sure what happened, but I'm gonna tell you something that I would tell my daughter. If you do not release any eggs, you will not be able to have any children. And because we did not know what caused that weird cycle with me, he recommended that it would be a good idea for me to freeze my eggs. At that time, it was around Christmas. So once again, I didn't want to rush to do anything. I just wanted to get through the holidays. But I did decide the following year, that was going to be my year to freeze my eggs and to just have peace of mind that God forbid if this ever happened again, I had a backup plan. This was my insurance. Okay, so 2019 hits and I decided this was the year that I was going to freeze my eggs. I met with my doctor in January and we put together a game plan for February and to have my eggs frozen by early March. So basically in the beginning phases, before doing any hormone injections, we ran some preliminary blood work. The main thing that they test when you start this process is something called your AMH. So your AMH basically tells you how many follicles you have on your ovaries. Now, why is that important? The more follicles that you have on your ovaries basically means the more eggs you will be able to get. Once my blood work came back, I actually had a very, very high AMH. So that was amazing. That was great. I knew from the beginning that I was probably going to get a good amount of eggs, so I felt very confident going into it. Now, however, there are risks associated with that. Someone that has a high AMH can have more complications, but I'm gonna get into that later. After getting my blood work back, we ordered the medication, and I remember when I got everything in the mail, I was so overwhelmed. I am terribly afraid of needles, and I'm looking at all of these needles and all these injections that I have to give myself, and I'm like, how the hell am I going to do this? It was around 2 injections a day for 10 days. So probably somewhere between like 20 to 25 shots. The first day where I had to give myself an injection, I was honestly considering calling and scheduling a nurse. I was so afraid, my palms were sweating. And then I just decided, Rachel, you can do this, you got this. And once I gave myself that first injection and got over that initial fear, I was totally fine. I was on about 4 or 5 different medications throughout the whole process, and they watch you pretty close. So every day that I was doing injections, I went every other day for blood work and for an ultrasound because they want to see how the follicles on your ovaries are growing, and they also want to make sure that, you know, while they're giving you all these hormones and pumping you with so much than you normally would ever have in your body, that you're not becoming overstimulated. As far as the whole injections go, really pain-free. It was not bad at all. I had very minimal side effects with that. I could say, you know, sometimes I got a little hot. I did start to get a little bloated Probably the weirdest complication that I had was my right leg like went numb for whatever reason. And I couldn't feel it at certain point in time. So that was a very, very strange one. I did the injections for about 10 days. And then on the 10th day, they go and do the retrieval. The last shot that you have to give yourself is something called the trigger shot. Now, me being me, I'm Googling all of this before I even started. So I read up and I saw on many YouTube videos that the trigger shot was the most painful out of all the injections and it hurt so bad and this and that. So I'm really, really hyping this shot up. I'm like so nervous about it. This is like the one shot out of everything else that you have to take that has to be done at a specific time, because once you give yourself that shot, it releases the eggs. I'm happy to tell you that it did not hurt at all. They do burn going in, some of them. So I found that if you go slow with it and just breathe, it makes it a lot more tolerable. So the morning of my retrieval, I remember waking up and being so nervous. I am terrified of procedures or anything that involves anesthesia. It freaks me out. I always have this fear that I'm gonna go to sleep and not wake up. So what were the results of my egg retrieval? I got so many eggs. They were able to harvest a few dozen. I was blown away with how many they got. Because of that, I was in so much pain after my surgery. They were able to freeze a few dozen eggs, so I had a really, really great result. But as I mentioned earlier, the more eggs that you get, the more complications you can have. So the complications that I had were I became overstimulated. I started to rapidly put on weight, and I put about 10 pounds of weight on, and it was water that was just sitting in my abdomen, and my ovaries became so enlarged. They were so swollen. I had to be on bed rest for a few days because they were nervous that they were going to twist or flip, and they had to start me on a lot of medications. So that part of it was very, very painful for me. It is a small percentage that gets that, but that is what happened to me. Looking back, I am so happy that I did do it. I now feel like I have a weight off of my shoulders, and if God forbid this ever does happen again, I have a backup plan and my eggs are frozen. So whenever the time is right and God decides for me to have children, I am so happy that I did do this. So that's pretty much it. That's my experience. So let's hop into the Q&A. So a lot of you guys had this one question: was it expensive? I am not going to lie to you. Normally I do not like to talk anything regarding pricing. It was very expensive. The total cost was about $15,000 for me. So insurance doesn't cover a good majority of it. It depends on what insurance you do have though. So the procedure itself was about like $9,000, and then the medications can range anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000. But depending on what insurance you have, it may cover some of the medications. Mine just didn't, so I was stuck paying out of pocket for all of it. Did the retrieval hurt? My wife is going through it next week and is a nervous wreck. So no, the surgery itself does not hurt. Like I said, you go to sleep and you wake up. It only hurt for me because we got a lot of eggs. So depending on, you know, a lot of factors of how many eggs you can get, your age, your AMH level, you just have to know the more eggs that you do get, you will be in more discomfort. I was told my AMH is low, so I don't know if it will work. So even if your AMH is low, it doesn't mean that the quality of your eggs are bad. So that's something that you and your doctor would have to discuss, but even if your AMH is low, you can absolutely still do it. How many babies do I want? Well, I'd love to have a bunch running around, but I think I'm pretty good with 2. Do the injections make your moods go up and down during the process? So interestingly enough, I thought that I would have been like a basket case on the injections, but I was actually very leveled out. My estrogen was so high and I was very relaxed and calm. Only up until, I want to say, day 9, I started getting a little emotional. I remember crying for no reason, but for the most part, I wasn't angry. I wasn't overly sensitive really up until the very end. What helped you recover mentally and physically? So mentally is just knowing why I am doing this. Because one day I want a family and this is just something I have to do to protect that. And what helped me recover physically? Just knowing that you just pumped so many hormones into your body. You need to give your body a chance to heal. You just went through so much. Just breathe and take it easy. Try not to look in the mirror too much at the swelling, and just know that it's all gonna resume and you're gonna be okay. Oh boy, you guys hear boss? Is there a fee to store your eggs? So at my place, it was included in the original proposal. So for the first year, I'm covered. And then after that, it is $500 a year. AMH levels, when can I expect them to go down? So I'm not sure how old you are, but you can expect a significant drop in your AMH levels after you turn 30. When should I freeze? You should freeze whenever it feels right to you. But what I can tell you is the earlier you do it, the better it's going to be, because the quality of your eggs are going to be better and you're going to get more eggs. How's your next cycle after your retrieval? Ooh, pretty rough, pretty intense. What really helped me is taking iron and magnesium pills. I highly, highly recommend that. That's pretty much it for the questions. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I can share with you guys. I was surprised to know that, me being in my late 20s, that 2/3 of my eggs were good. When you are in your 20s, I guess you think that you're very healthy and that I guess all of my eggs would be good, and no, only 2/3 of my eggs were good. One more thing you should know as well too, I'm not sure where your journey ends after this, or if it starts, if your plan is to have the baby yourself, or if you are going to go the surrogacy route. I'm not sure, whatever your current situation is, but if you are considering using a surrogate, that is something that you need to tell your doctor, because before they freeze your eggs, they have to do an additional screening to make them FDA approved. I know it sounds funny, but yes, your eggs have to be FDA approved. Even if your eggs are not FDA approved, you will still be able to get a surrogate. The surrogate is just gonna have to sign off on it that they know and they are aware that they're not FDA approved. So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys found this video helpful. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to comment or direct message me. I would be so happy to answer anything that I did not answer here. And I am going to list underneath the medications that I did take. Oh boy, the medications that I did take, because I didn't get into the names too much, but I will put some more details under the comments. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And like I said, whatever your journey is from this, I wish you nothing but the best, and just stay positive and just be patient, and just know everything that you're doing is so you can have these beautiful babies one day, and it's all gonna work out.